Imagine this. 11:40 p.m. The ocean is completely still. No wind, no moon, just darkness and water. And then a voice cuts through the night from the crow's nest above. "Iceberg! Right ahead!" In the next 37 seconds, the fate of over 1,500 people was sealed forever. But today, we are not just talking about that night. Today, we talk about the 6 warnings that arrived before that moment, one after another, black and white, through the telegraph, placed directly into the captain's hands. And still, RMS Titanic kept sailing, full speed, into the dark. Why? The answer is not just a technical failure. It was a human decision. And behind that decision is a story that will sit heavy on your chest long after this video ends. I'm your host, and you're watching Krono Canvas, where history doesn't just inform you, it moves you. Today's story begins on April 14th, 1912. But to truly understand it, we need to go back a few days earlier. RMS Titanic. This was not just a ship, it was a statement, a symbol of British engineering, of White Star Line's ambition, and of an era where humanity genuinely believed it had conquered nature. 882 feet long, 46,000 tons, 9 decks, 840 cabins, 29 massive furnaces powering its engines. The newspapers wrote, "God himself could not sink this ship." White Star Line never actually printed those words, but the public believed it, and perhaps so did the men standing on that bridge. Titanic departed Southampton, England on April 10th, 1912. Destination, New York City. 2,224 souls on board. First class carried some of the wealthiest people alive: John Jacob Astor IV, Benjamin Guggenheim, Isidor Straus, their wives, their servants, their dreams. Second and third class carried those who were chasing something different, a new country, a new beginning, a new life. And above them all stood one man responsible for every single soul: Captain Edward John Smith, 62 years old, 40 years of sailing experience, White Star Line's most senior and trusted captain. This was his retirement voyage, one last perfect crossing. And then, he was done. History had other plans. April, the North Atlantic. This route was the fastest path to New York, but in April, it carried a specific and deadly problem: icebergs. Every year as Arctic ice melts, massive icebergs drift southward, right into the shipping lanes of the Atlantic. April is peak season for this. In 1912, there was no satellite, no GPS, no automated detection, no radar. There was only one tool available: the wireless telegraph, ship-to-ship communication. And that system, on April 14th, 1912, told Titanic 6 times, "There is ice ahead." On April 14th, 9 a.m. in the morning, SS Krono, another British vessel, sends a wireless message to Titanic. "Captain, Titanic, westbound steamers report bergs, growlers and field ice in 42 degrees north from 49 to 51 degrees west. April 12th. Compliments, Bar." Captain Smith reads it, acknowledges it, posts it on the bridge notice board. That's it. No speed reduction, no route change, no discussion, message received, filed, forgotten. At 1 p.m. in the afternoon, Dutch vessel SS Noordam sends a similar warning. Ice reported at nearly the same coordinates. Message confirmed, received by Captain Smith. No action taken, again. At 1:42 p.m., White Star Line's own vessel, SS Baltic, sends this. "Have had moderate variable winds and clear fine weather since leaving. Greek steamer Athenai reports passing icebergs and large quantities of field ice today in latitude 41 degrees, 51 minutes north, longitude 49 degrees, 52 minutes west. Now here's where something interesting happens. Captain Smith receives this message, and then he hands it to J. Bruce Ismay, managing director of White Star Line, also aboard Titanic, as a VIP passenger. Ismay reads the message, and then he puts it in his jacket pocket, walks around the ship, socializes with passengers. That ice warning stayed in his pocket for hours. Captain Smith eventually asked for it back to post it on the bridge, but by then, time had already been wasted. No speed change, no route change, nothing. 3 minutes later, at 1:45 p.m., German ship SS America sends a message to the US Hydrographic Office, but it passes through Titanic's wireless station. America passed 2 large icebergs in 41 degrees 27 minutes north, 50 degrees 8 minutes west on April 14th. Those coordinates directly in Titanic's predicted path. Junior wireless operator Harold Bride receives it. Whether it ever officially reached Captain Smith, to this day, nobody knows for certain. At 7:30 p.m., SS Californian, a British vessel, sends a direct message to Titanic. 3 large bergs 5 miles to the southward of us. This reaches wireless operator Jack Phillips. Phillips is busy. He's forwarding personal passenger telegrams to Cape Race Relay Station. First-class passengers sending messages to family, to business partners, to friends. The ice warning, noted. Whether it reached the bridge officially, unclear. Now at 9:40 p.m., SS Mesaba sends the most critical warning of the entire day, the most detailed, the most alarming. Ice report in latitude 42 degrees north to 41 degrees 25 minutes north. Longitude 49 degrees west to 50 degrees 30 minutes west. Saw much heavy pack ice and a great number of large icebergs. Also field ice, weather good, clear. Those coordinates, exactly where Titanic would be in a matter of hours. This message reaches Jack Phillips. Phillips is still buried in the passenger telegram backlog. He marks the Mesaba message, MSG, a bureaucratic notation requiring it go through the purser's office before reaching the captain. And that message sat on his desk. It never officially reached Captain Smith. 2 hours before impact. This question is not just for 1912. Historians still debate it today. Why? Why did no one act? The answer has several layers, and every layer matters. Layer 1. The convention of the time. In 1912, it was standard practice to maintain speed even after receiving ice warnings. The logic was, if you see an iceberg, you turn. Ice fields always had clear patches. Experienced navigators threaded through them. A complete stop was considered unnecessary, even paranoid. Layer 2. Pressure. White Star Line wanted Titanic in New York on time. Some accounts suggest Ismay wanted to arrive Wednesday, ahead of schedule. The press coverage, the prestige, the headlines. Ismay always denied pressuring Captain Smith. There is no direct documented proof. But a man who keeps an ice warning in his jacket pocket for hours makes you wonder. Layer 3. Confidence. Titanic was unsinkable, or at least, everyone believed that. 16 watertight compartments, state-of-the-art engineering. This confidence didn't just live in the passengers, it lived in the officers, in the decisions they made, in the warnings they didn't act on. Layer 4. The conditions that night. The sky was clear, but there was no moon, and the ocean was completely unusually, perfectly still. Normally, waves break at the base of an iceberg, creating white foam, visible from a distance, a natural warning system. That night, no waves, no foam, no visual signal. The iceberg was invisible until it was 500 meters away. Layer 5. The missing binoculars. The crow's nest lookouts should have had binoculars. They didn't. Why? A last-minute crew change in Southampton. Officer David Blair was replaced, and he accidentally took the binoculars key with him when he left. Frederick Fleet spotted the iceberg with his naked eyes alone. 37 seconds was all that remained. It wasn't enough. April 14th, 1912. 11:39 p.m. and 30 seconds. Frederick Fleet, in the crow's nest, sees something in the darkness ahead. Something black. Something massive. He grabs the phone to the bridge. "Iceberg! Right ahead!" First Officer William Murdoch gives two commands, almost simultaneously. "Hard a starboard!" Turn left. "Full astern!" Reverse the engines. Helmsman Robert Hitchens spins the wheel. Engineers below slam the engines into reverse. 37 seconds. Titanic began to turn. But a 46,000-ton ship does not turn instantly. At 11:40 p.m., the iceberg grazed the right side, the starboard side, as Titanic turned. No dramatic collision, no explosion, just a grinding sound, like something rubbing. Several passengers felt nothing at all. Some came up to the deck, curious, and found small chunks of ice scattered across the floor. Some people were throwing them at each other, making snowballs. They didn't know. Below deck, in the boiler rooms, the scene was different. The iceberg had not cut a clean gash. It created a series of intermittent punctures across a 300-foot section of the hull. Rivets popped, seams split open, 5 watertight compartments began flooding. Thomas Andrews, Titanic's chief designer, was also aboard. Captain Smith sent him below to assess the damage. Andrews calculated. Then he came back to the bridge. He told Captain Smith, "She can stay afloat with 4 compartments flooded, but 5. No, she will sink. It is a mathematical certainty." Captain Smith asked, "How long do we have?" Andrews replied, an hour and a half, at most." This was 12:15 a.m. Titanic sank at 2:20 a.m. Andrews was off by 35 minutes. And now, the detail that perhaps hurts the most. Titanic carried 20 lifeboats. Total capacity, 1,178 people. Total souls aboard, 2,224. Even in a perfect scenario, if every lifeboat was filled to capacity, more than half the people on board could not be saved. Why only 20 lifeboats? British Board of Trade regulations, written in 1894, said this was sufficient. Nobody had updated them. Nobody had challenged them. A 46,000-ton ship was being governed by rules written for vessels a fraction of its size. And those 20 lifeboats were not even properly used. Panic. Confusion. "Women and children first," the order was given, but the crew had never drilled properly for this exact situation. The first lifeboat lowered had capacity for 65 people. It left with 28. In the end, only 710 people survived. 1,514 lives were lost. The sinking of Titanic shook the world, but it also changed it. The International Ice Patrol was founded in 1914, dedicated to monitoring icebergs in the North Atlantic. It still operates today. The International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, SOLAS, was signed in 1914, requiring a lifeboat space for every single passenger, 24-hour mandatory wireless radio operation, regular compulsory lifeboat drills, individual fates, speak each one carefully. Captain Smith went down with his ship. His exact final moments, unknown. J. Bruce Ismay boarded a lifeboat. He survived. The press and public destroyed his reputation. He never returned to public life. Jack Phillips, the wireless operator who kept that Mesaba warning on his desk, he did not survive. But he kept sending distress signals until the very end. His transmissions reached RMS Carpathia, the ship that came and rescued the survivors. This one should feel heavy and personal. Frederick Fleet, the man who first spotted the iceberg, he survived, and he carried the guilt his entire life. At the Senate inquiry, he was asked, "If you had binoculars, would you have seen the iceberg sooner?" He said, "Yes." The senators went silent. Did over 1,500 people die because of an iceberg? No, they died because of systematic negligence, because of overconfidence, because of bureaucratic failure, because of regulations nobody bothered to update. Every warning that was ignored had a human decision behind it. Someone thought, "It'll be fine." Someone thought, "This ship cannot sink." Someone thought, "We still have time." And that is the most dangerous thought a person can have. History's greatest tragedies rarely come from one dramatic villain. They come from small carelessnesses, one after another, until there is no time left. Titanic taught us, and perhaps still teaches us, that warnings must be heard, whether there are 6 of them or just one. Because some things, once they sink, never come back up. In today's video, we walked through the full story, the 6 warnings, the decisions, the negligence, and the 1,514 lives lost that night. If this video gave you something, a new perspective, a new piece of history, hit subscribe on Krono Canvas. This is a channel where history isn't just told, it's experienced. In our next video, we cover another moment in history that changed how an entire civilization thought about itself. Until then, remember, history repeats itself, only for those who forget it. Take care.